Hi friends, thanks for joining me. Today I have a new process video for you for Hip Kit Club, and I'm using the August 2021 kits. In fact, it's just the main kit I'm using. And in the main kit, as you can see, are some beautiful rainbow colours, and in particular this is the colour wheel from the Vicki Boutin Colour Study collection. And I chopped up the colour wheel because it's really hard to make this paper look different because we've all loved it and used it in so many different ways. So I've chopped off bits of the pie chart, I suppose the elements at least, and I've cut some shorter, so I've gone around the outside, so some are smaller than others. And I think it's really because I'd already chopped into this paper for another project and this was what I had left over. And then rather break into a new one, I just used up the bits and pieces because I'm forever frugal me. So as you can see, I drew around a plate to make that circle with a fine liner. And I'm just going to colour in some sections with a stencil and some ink. Now, technically, I am using the colour kit from August, but you could use any inks and you could use any stencil, or you could just go without. But I do like how it looked when it was filled in a little against those bright wedges. So I'm using these, as I say, from the colour kit, and I'm just gently making some of the lemon slices a little bit darker than others, and I've overlapped some, just as if it were a pattern paper really. But I am trying to be careful not to go outside the lines and just keep within the circle. So I'm just checking that that is what I was expecting. Otherwise I could just cover it all up with those wedges, which was my plan B. But I do like it, so I'm going to go ahead and colour the other side of the circle in the same way, but this time using a bit of the yellow, which was also in the colour kit. So I'm just going to repeat that exercise, clean up my stencil a little bit, and then repeat that with the yellow. I've not used those ink pads before. The pad themselves are quite soft compared to a Distress Oxide ink, for example. And although I think when you first use it, you think, oh, that feels weird, they're a great ink. They really blend well, and they're very vibrant. So they do mix well as well. So if you were to mix the yellow and pink, for example, you'd get a nice orange colour. So I think, you know, they're a really great way to try things is through the colour kit, because probably otherwise I might not have tried it. And I'm just going to distress the edges of those wedges now. That's not very easy to say, is it? So in my mind, I really want them overlapping. I'm not sure precisely how, but I want them overlapping a little bit, and it keeps changing from minute to minute. And I'm trying to get them towards the centre so they radiate out from the centre, but because I've used a plate, I'm going to have to guess where the centre is, and hopefully nobody measures it after I've finished. Now, I'm not really a bright colour person, I would say. I tend to go for more pastel colours, but I do love the colour combination in this collection. And consequently, the exclusive that came with the August kit as well have been coordinated perfectly. So you can see I'd fussy cut some flowers from one of the pattern papers that were designed by Kim and Kimberly, and they coordinate with this colour wheel perfectly. So I took a selfie the other week, so hence why I've got ears and a funny nose. But I love those Snapchat selfies because they hide a multitude of sins, much more amenable than taking an actual selfie of yourself. And this layout kind of developed. I hadn't really got a plan other than the fact I wanted to use the colour wheel. I had that selfie just because I'd printed it out, and I didn't really know where I was going beyond that. But as it turned out, it kind of led me to document some changes that are happening in my life, in my work life, for the better. And I was really inspired by the foam stickers that you can see here that came with the main kit. So yeah, no, I'm really pleased how the whole thing turned out, to be honest. So I like it when a plan comes together. Also in the main kit were these Prima canvas borders. So they take ink and particularly well, especially these inks that came with the colour kit. And as you can see, I've just blended some ink over that canvas border. And what you'll see on the border is the canvas background, and then there's like a white glaze on the top. So theoretically then your ink will stick to the canvas, and then if you rub lightly the white acrylic then will resist the ink, so you can just wipe that off. I'm finding words then. So I'm just going to stick these down lightly because I keep moving them and changing my mind, so they do need tacking into place. As you can see, they don't really need to be exactly in the centre. So if you've got one that's not quite the right size, you can adjust it accordingly because you're covering up the middle with your photo. And I've just got a little paper scrap under my photo there. Again, that was just from a leftover project, so I like it when you get a bit of a serendipity. Is that where you have a bit of something that just happens to be the perfect thing that you need? I'm not really sure that's the actual definition of serendipity, but you know what I mean. So I was just trying to create some layers there, and I've used one of the cards also from the main kit. It was one of the cut apart sheets, the collection sheet, again from Colour Study. And I've cut it down a little bit just because it was wider than my tiny photo. I'm just turning it into a tag, and I'm going to staple some twine to the centre. And that will allow me to add a little bit of texture to the page, or another texture, namely the wax twine I'm using. And that turned out to be so much more fiddly than I expected. I would have used a hole punch, but it was really narrow between the top of the writing and the top of the card. Hence why I fastened it with a stapler. But I do like that though. It does give you a little bit of movement with the twine that you'll see later, and a little bit of extra texture. So these stickers, the Amy Tan stickers, are fab. I really love these. They're a good thick foam. They're very sturdy and very sticky, as you can see here. But they've got great colours that coordinate with the Colour Study collection. And I really like the mix of phrases, titles, elements. It's a really great selection which I find easy to use. And I'm going to use some of those fussy cut flowers that came from the exclusive paper. And I've loosely coordinated the colour flowers then with the correct part of the colour wheel. And then off camera then I have added some stitching. So I've stitched in black thread. And that really is just to emphasise what was already on the colour wheel paper. So I've gone in straight lines from the centre to the outside. And I've done a few following the curves, the circles on those papers. And again, I really like how that turned out. So it's just, I love it when a plan comes together. And then while I was sewing, I had this kind of idea to do some title around that circle, which is kind of tricky. So I've gently adhered them to some of the cellophane packaging there, just to see what the spacing should be and what the fit will be like. And then I'm just lightly touching them down because I think for this to work, you kind of need to get your angles pretty good. But we are going to have to eyeball it so they don't slant too much. And I think you just kind of have to, do your best to make it look as good as you can. Yeah, so the title relates to, I say, some changes in my work life at home, and sometimes you get a curveball in life, and sometimes you get lovely lemons or to make your lemonade. I don't really know what analogy I'm going for there. But so something fortunate happened really, and I came to a bit of a crossroads, and something really great came out of it. And so I think it was just nice to have that on a layout, and I'll probably hide some journaling behind, just so that I can remember in future, just when it all happened. And hopefully in 5 years' time I can look back and think, that's the time, yeah, and it all turned good. Or even better. It wasn't bad before, it was just even better. So I am waffling now, and as you can see, I was just adding sticking down those flowers. I'm just going to pick out some embellishments really from the stickers. And I like a little bit of foam tape, so I'm just going to overlap and change the height on some of those. Yeah, so, I'm a really slow scrapper as well. So the fact that I did this in one sitting was a sheer miracle. So I was about to put it all away and maybe put some splatters on. And then I had this idea about putting some more journaling, some stamped journaling. I just bought these stamps from a local craft shop. I was given a voucher, so it was rude not to really. And I know Emily always used to use a typewriter font stamp, and I always loved her journaling, so I thought, while I have the opportunity, I think I would certainly do some journaling with some stamping, which I don't normally do. Absolutely love how it turned out, so I might be doing that again. So as you can see here, I am just picking out the stamps one by one, dipping them into that black, actually it's a charcoal grey ink pad. It's a Sukaniko ink pad, and they're called a Versaclair, which is my absolute favourite ink pads for stamping. They are quite juicy, but they stamp really easily. You just need to make sure that you give them time to dry, because they can smudge afterwards. But I always used to struggle to get a really good impression with certain stamps. But I find this Versaclair stamp, or ink pad rather, is just so easy to use. So if you wanted to do some stamping, that would be my top tip. So that's it really. I have just done the journaling around the other side of that circle. Life is full of surprises, which it was really. And I think that is more or less it. I do end up adding some splatters, which I'm not sure I did on camera, so that's just the normal splattering. And I'll leave you with the close-ups. I really hope you like the layout and maybe be inspired to have a go yourself. I'd really love to see what you do, so you could share the result with us on our Facebook group. So I hope to see you soon on the next video, and if you like me, I'd love a thumbs up, and hopefully you can subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye now.